good. All right, here we go. The recording has started. This is LasagnaCat here, hosting the meeting. Semper is uh, um, away at the moment. Today's Veterans Day, and I believe he's hopefully he's doing something to celebrate and honor Veterans Day. That'd be awesome. And also, happy Veterans Day to all veterans who might be attending the meeting, and all veterans out there everywhere. Thank you for your service, and just like to give a little shout out to honor you all today. Um, and so, for the past few months, we've been doing. Semper has been taking Easy Trade, our illustrious member Easy, through the finding your way process, doing some mentoring with him, which has been really great to follow. I've learned a lot. And so he's going to begin, Semper is going to begin another round of finding your way. I don't know, in like a couple weeks, few weeks, something like that, as far as I know. So in the meantime, we'll just be doing like these other types of meetings with like maybe random topics. So, I mean, today, since it's me hosting, I'll just run through, I'll present my recaps for the week. And then, we can, if you all want to give some feedback about them, have any questions, stuff like that. I don't have that many from this week because I've had to divert my attention to some unusual sort of household responsibilities. So haven't been trading as much this week. But I'm happily going to go through my recaps with you. If you have anything you want to say about them, just go ahead and chime in. Don't worry about interrupting me, anything like that. Just go for it. And happy to see you all today. So yeah, I'll crack into some recaps. And then after the recaps are done, if anybody else has a recap to do, like at all, or any kind of screenshot they want to share, anything at all that you want to bring up, all questions are welcome. All recaps are welcome. It's actually so much more important to do that than for me to show you my recaps, but like, we'll just begin with that. And please, anyone chime in if you have anything that you'd like to share. So let's see here. Let me sort of minimize these windows a little bit. And I'll get into, so I only have recaps from Wednesday and today. And so I'll get into them because they kind of tell an interesting story about where my mind was today, or this week rather. So like this shows 3 different trades, and I'll explain them to you. The first 2 are kind of one trade with like a reset because I became unsure, and the other one is a loss. But the first 2 add up to a nice win trade, and then there's this one here. So just a little background. So this is kind of like the setup I look for. I look for a nice dump out to like a new low. I love the new low. I like trying to catch the new low run up. Market hits a new low, I guess, stops out shorts, and then just comes and cranks up. So and it goes, I like to see a first higher low and second higher low, get in on the second higher low. In this one, I identified this as the higher low, this little like needle, and so getting into it, I made my entry here because on these higher low setups, I like using the next candle that happens to break above the low candle. So we get the pullback low, comes up, and if it's the next candle, I do 2 ticks above that one to catch momentum. The reason I do 2 ticks is because oftentimes when it's just the 1 tick, it'll come back down. It's happened to me so many times that like I'm just more secure doing this. And also my plays tend to work out better when I do the second pullback entry, but sometimes I do the first. So it looked like to me like this is going to gain the momentum that I needed. I had RSI recovering overcool over here, although it did come in contact with the 50 a little quickly. A nice MACD cross, as well as TTM sellers stepping out of the way. And after the dump, big red volume to like exhaust the dump or whatever. But after that, buyer volume was dominating. So I felt good at this point. But it came back down a bit. What we see here are my fib levels. I drew a fib from this high, this new like little high, red candle down to the support base, support level. And so when it came down here, I was like, well, it's in my fib ad zone, one of those sweet spots, 50% and 61%. So I was like, look, if it holds this, it's probably going to go up. Also, it was sort of chopping this trend line of mine, intraday trend line. It was kind of negotiating with the trend line, seeing what to do. Um, and so it progressed healthily up here. And what we have down here, this pink line is the 50 SMA intra. So what's funny about my psychology on this day was, for some reason, I took this like little bit of chop as like a sign that, oh, maybe the trade's not going to work out. I don't know what got my thinking there, actually, because as we see down here, RSI is still chopping the top side of the 50 really well. And that's a really good sign for the long continuation, especially if it's in conjunction with the holding of the 50. So yeah, I don't know where my head was at on that day, because also the moving averages in general were stacked the way I want them. 666 on the very top, 200 there, 100 EMA, not SMA, and then back to, and then 50 SMA. SMA, EMA, SMA. So I think I just like lacked a little bit of confidence. I think because I misjudged this higher low, and because I know I'm more comfortable entering on the second higher low. Whatever the case may be, I got out there. I was like, look, I don't want to go red on this. Like, I'm feeling unsure. Let me just get out. And I had like a 1 point profit. All right, fine, whatever, it happens. But when I saw these candles, when I saw this one candle tick down to the 50 and seeing it hold the 50, I thought to myself, all right, what was I thinking before? I look for that 50-50 hold all the time, and it's very reputable. We even have the 50 EMA holding over the 50 SMA, which can often signal momentum and direction. So I was like, look, I'll just get back in. It's not as if I was red on this trade anyway. I got like a point, maybe point and a half, something, point, who knows? And this red completely right. Like, you know what I mean? Like I took my first profits off at this nice big push, because if you go back here, it's the 161 fib of the fib I drew, so it's a great fib target. And I decided to use this 200 SMA as my second fib target, which is also really good targets. So don't look at this for the time being, because I'll talk about this one later. So like, this just says pretty much what I just explained, which is, self-evident after the discussion. But like, yeah, so that was my first two trades, which was basically getting in, feeling unsure, and then resetting. I like to allow myself only one reset of a trade. And then, because any more than one reset, then I'm just sort of like unsure, flipping around back and forth, whatever. So took one reset for the target. So I feel happy about that, So does anybody have any questions, comments, little insights that you might be experiencing yourself, or major insights that you might be experiencing yourself while looking at this trade? Because overall I'm happy with it, and it follows my system real well. It isn't textbook, but I'm really into I'm really coming to terms with the knowledge that textbook trades only exist in textbooks, so like, so it's all good. All right, well, so those are my first two trades from Wednesday. First trade recaps. And so I will what am I going to do here? I'm going to show you that third one, the one where I took a red on Wednesday. All right, so here we go. Nice full screen. So yeah. So I took my entry. So what happened was, after that nice play, it came back for, like a nice pullback. So to my way of thinking, I was like, well, after it pulls back, that first little bit of momentum will be the pullback entry. You know what I mean? And so I played it as such, but it ended up not working like right away. And I stopped out right at the bottom of the actual pullback low, and then it went flying. It went flying up for like the rest of the day, or like for a lot of the rest of the day, something like that. So you see here this pink line and green line. So that's the fib ad zone of this fib, drawn from the 200 SMA down to that low. Now, that is not the fib that I had drawn at the time. I drew it after the fact for reference, because for this fib, that ad zone is like the best entry. So if I was watching this with this fib being drawn, this is all hindsight, but this is stuff that I've realized before and used before. So it's real stuff. So like with this fib drawn, that is the ad zone, the perfect place to get in for a pullback entry, given that nice pullback low and a little momentum tick, a couple ticks above. You know what I mean? And so this ad zone also coincides with the 50 SMA. So watching that with this fib in mind, I might have been like, hey, let's cool it and wait for some 50 SMA action as well as the ad zone. But at the time, that wasn't my fib. It was the fib I'd drawn before, which, if you remember, was this initial high down to there. And so like, which actually also, that would have been the 100 fib of that fib actually, which is also another good ad zone. But you know what? Like, I jumped the gun, like plain and simple, you know, I did. And I wasn't watching RSI close enough because it had become weak, and sure, it poked its head above the 50 a little bit, but that is, you know, that's really not enough juice from RSI, not enough juice. And also red volume had taken over in these couple candles, you know what I mean? So it was like not the best. TTM buyer stepping out of the way. And look at MACD, totally crossed the downside. So this was tunnel vision. This looks like, okay, so when I'm having trouble trading, it's often because of tunnel vision. So I think I tunnel visioned on just like, hey, this is the pullback. You know what I mean? Like, this is my pullback opportunity. So I think I got like a little hung up on that. So that was a loss. I like sharing my red trades. You know, it's awesome to do. That's where you learn a whole lot. And I also really enjoyed sharing this this sort of false start, because that's a mistake that I definitely make sometimes and would like to correct that mistake, you know, going forward. So for this trade, are we does anyone have any questions? Does this bring up any issues or
Hey, Lasagna, on the first trade you did actually,
yeah.
How close were you to being stopped out? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, like not at all. Not at all. Like when, like nowhere near being stopped out, because like what's really funny, my stop out would have been a couple ticks below this candle. And the funny thing is I held on just fine during this pullback, which is like pretty close to being stopped out. It's like almost as close as you can get. But for some reason up here, I was like, oh, I don't really recognize this price action. Like, I don't know about this consolidation. Like, I don't want to be stuck in consolidation for a half hour. Just like all these like sort of fearful little thoughts were creeping into my head. And it prevented me from seeing all this great evidence that the trade could work. And so I just kind of got into that mode where I was like, fuck it, I'm getting out with some profits. Like, they're like, you know, even if it goes up, at least I got the profits. So
Were you did you have a hard stop though? Did it get close on that red candle? You know, kind of went back down below your entry originally. Did you get close to being stopped out but just didn't hit it, or did you not have a one set?
I don't have a clear recollection, but I have a like 85% recollection that I had a hard stop, like a program stop. Yeah.
You're getting kind of close, but then didn't pull it.
Yeah, it was.
I can totally see why you got. I would have done the same thing. About where you profited out. I mean, you entered, you're up a little bit, then you went red for a bit. You got back, it was going, now it starts kind of going back, you know, looking like you could go red again there.
Yeah.
You know, if you just look at straight up price action, not all the other indicators. And throughout that time, I could easily say going out, the thing that I'm kind of impressed about and something that I need to get better on is, so you got out with profits, albeit a point, but hey, a point's better, a positive point's better than a negative point.
For sure.
And then you were able to get back in just a few candles later when
Yeah.
price action looked good. And that's something I'm working on, is getting out when it doesn't look good, but then just being able to hop back in going, you know what, you know, reset everything. It does look good to get back in. So I like how you got back in there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the thing that helped me do that was you know, 50 SMA right there and the hold of 50 RSI. Because I was just like, man, that is so textbook for what I look for in the situation of like, again, the chop got me kind of confused, but looked at it from a different perspective. It is the second lower high. So I kind of honed in on that. Something I didn't notice at the time was that this great green volume beat was awesome and everything else was like tiny. And then you got like nice tiny candles before a squeeze, you know, tiny volumes. Cause sometimes those volume bars really contract before the squeeze happens, and it's great. Um, and yeah, so yeah, I appreciate the question, like definitely, and it's it's a good reminder that I came close to being stopped out and like didn't lose my nerve there, but then like, you know, got into a zone of like questioning myself up there during the consolidation. Um, yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting trading, hour or so there. Um, if anyone has any other questions, I have a recap also from today. Um, but if there's any other questions about this, I'm happy to field those as well. And yeah, thanks Whiplash for that question, of course. So let me see here. Let me get back to my uh, other recap here. Why is my bad. Still learning all these Zoom tools. Right. Okay, so this brings me to my trade today. And Whiplash, I believe you took the same one, which is awesome.
I did indeed.
Yeah, man.
And I
So
actually have a question for you on it already, but yeah.
yeah, please. Yeah, you can even ask me like starting off, we'll just have like a little dialogue about like what looked good and what looked not so good.
Well, I entered, so I did it. I wasn't really using the MAs because they're all kind of jumbled right there.
Yep.
I was using a fair value gap because it's not on your chart, but that big green candle, like before your entry, that green one, created a fair value gap.
Yep.
Uh, so my entry was on actually that red candle, and I entered right kind of where I actually put a what do you call it, a fishing order in, kind of because I wanted it kind of inside where the gap was, and
Yeah.
it triggered it right where the wick and the body meet that red candle. That's pretty much where my entry was. So
Right
it clicked
here.
that, yeah, it clicked that, then went further down to the bottom, and then it was kind of playing around in the negative zone for a little bit as it ticked back up. I just was also using an ATM strategy,
Yeah.
which had a 3-point stop, which was just below the fair value gap, and
Hmm.
just a 2-point profit, which was ridiculously small for the amount this went up. But I was just playing around with it, so I was fine with that.
Yeah. But
But
that
what
was
made me a little bit nervous is my entry was the 200 was sitting right there. I think that's that purple line is your 200 SMA, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
My entry is below that, and price kept bopping up, hitting it, and then dropping down, hit it a couple times, and then it kind of was in it,
Hmm.
and then it finally went up. So my question was going to be, was and you entered below the 200 too, if I see your entry. So was the 200 at all concerned about, because it had actually mounted the 200?
It 100% was. It is 100% the reason why I took initial profits quickly. There were enough bullish catalysts to maybe make it less of a concern. But the thing is like that, and also when the moving averages are close together, it I think can give it more of a probability of a squeeze. However, you know, the 200 is a very reputably strong moving average. And so like it's funny, like, so when I was in the trade and I had my stop, like I was like, look, I'm gonna stop out. I hadn't put a hard stop. I was like, look, I might just even take it off if it goes like underneath one of these or even one of these. I was like, let me just see. Like it was funny. I had left my trading desk to like go deal with some stuff in my house. And then it's actually not my house. I'm house sitting this week. That's kind of like what's got me kind of distracted and not really in the game as much. But what was I saying? Yeah, I came back. I left my computer around here, like back in this price action. When I got to my computer, it was like here, and I was like, holy moly. So the other thing about it was like, I don't like just coming to my desk and like immediately entering a trade. Like, yeah, I did get to scan around and see that everything looked good, but also I didn't want to be like the little kid who like enters a room and just starts talking without knowing what's going on. And so, but yeah, man, that 200 was the reason for my trepidation, and that's why I took my initial profits like so quick, because I was like, well, what if this is just a pop above? You know what I mean? And like, which I don't think is even like that sound. I think once you like, it was a fairly decisive little guy. So it was like, I could have waited. But yeah, the 200 is why I took initial profits. The 200 is like the one thing in this trade that I wasn't that into. But because the support was all there, 666 intra with the 50 daily SMA. So it's great support. And it's riding that 50 real good. I kind of feel like if it's riding the 50 SMA as well as holding above the 50 RSI at the same time, then maybe the 200 doesn't matter. But today I was half sure about that. So I took those initial profits early.
Right.
Yeah. And for these guys up here, I was like, well, shit, that's standard dev center. We've got some doji levels up here. I haven't been paying much attention on like the bias of the day and like, what the known quantities really were. And I hadn't drawn a fib either. Just like I said, I was like kind of like the little kid entering the room in the middle of a conversation. So, this was 5.75 points from the entry. So that was cool. So 2 points and 5.75 points. So it's like, it's to me, that's a good profit take. Like that's nothing to be sad about. Like if it, ideally talking about like, ideal world, I wouldn't have taken it here. I would have done my first one up here, saw about the pullback, which pulled into this nice little doji zone. And then after that, it was just all green. I could have like waited for the top of this one or this one. I probably would have done was this is pre-market high. I probably would have taken them off at pre-market high. That's like exactly what I would have done. 2 ticks below pre-market high. So, that's something to keep in mind for next time, because also Whiplash, we had these two guys, these two nice green babies, towering above all this past stuff and with nothing coming into, nothing contending with it. And then, of course, this good guy. So yeah, I mean, a little bit broader picture to keep in mind for next time. That was my trade today. It was my, it was like you step away from the computer, like the day looks like a short day, like, short bias, bearish bias. And like my setup is a long play. And so I was like, well, I was happy to come back to the computer and see that there was like an opportunity that was solid. So that made me feel really good today.
Is that 2 contracts or 3 contracts?
That's 2.
Those 2. Okay. I didn't know if you said profit or whatever for the second. Yeah. So yeah, okay, good.
Oh yeah, all good. Yeah, two contracts. And so yeah, chilling. So again, it was like an unusual week for me, but any week trading, any week of trading, and any day of trading can give you insights that are valuable. The important thing is not to just like notice the insights. The important thing is to actually really ingest them and embody them. And you can do that through journaling. You can do that by preparing a screenshot. And you can do that by preparing a screenshot and a recap and sharing it with the Friday group. Because like, when something happens, right? Like something unexpected happens that you're not prepared for, like people tend to say, oh, well, at least I learned my lesson. But I feel like a lot of times, I'm speaking from personal experience here, maybe I acknowledged the lesson, but I didn't actually learn it and ingest the lesson and make efforts towards embodying the antidote to, embodying the lesson and the wisdom gained, because basically, like, if you don't like give thoughtful reflection to the lesson that you learned, quote unquote, because of the mistake that you made, or doesn't have to be a mistake, just something you weren't expecting. Like the way to profit from that loss is to really learn the lesson, not just acknowledge the lesson. If you want to profit from your losses, really learn from those lessons and learn how to embody those lessons. Write it down, make a screenshot for your own personal records at the very least, and reflect on it, review it at the end of the week, and come share it with the group, because if you can. I know it's like, some people don't like speaking in front of groups or like, sharing their progress. It can be embarrassing sometimes to share your trades, but really this is such a no judgment zone, no judgment. And we all learn from each other, and we all have made the same mistakes. And I feel like no matter how good we get, we will, be revisited by those mistakes from time to time. and have those memories as well of them, just like be able to help and get reinforced when other people bring those questions. And you know, you got to keep being the learner, like no matter how good your trading is. We're always going to be the learner, because the learner is the one who grows. We don't ever want to stop growing. So that's like pretty much all I have for this week. um does anybody have any comments about the week, or comments about their progress, or questions about this meeting and these meetings? Well, all right, that is all good as well. It's the weekend, and hopefully everyone's excited about like doing some fun weekend stuff, or relaxing, or whatever you got planned. So I'll turn off my screen share here and then I'll say goodbye to y'all. Let's see here, stop share. Well, all right. Hey, look, everybody, like, thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate it, and I know Semper does as well. Let's keep these meetings going. Always feel free to share, ask questions, bring your recaps. It looks like Kelsey's typing there. Yeah, and EO's typing as well. I Kelsey, I appreciate your input. Thanks, Kelsey. Hey, I appreciate your being here. And you're a great contributor to the meetings. I think it's awesome, really great. Your mic doesn't work. Yeah, I know that. Like, we're all dealing with the limits of technology. Toad Sage, any thoughts on ES for the remainder of the day? Remainder of the day. Well, I trade MES, but they're similar, right? And so let me just look at my little platform here, which is off screen at the moment. Holy smokes. Well, I'll tell you, it's really easing up there. Let me look at my SPY chart and just see if there's any levels that I've been like looking at, Oh, wow. So we're really cruising today. It's funny, I hadn't looked at the chart like since I placed that trade, really. So yeah, we're high up. I mean, we left the previous day candle in the dust. Didn't even come back down and touch the 10 SMA today. Wow. All right, let me get my drawing set up here. I'm sorry, I can't share my SPY screen because it's on my other computer. Like, this is the screen I'm showing you now is like my only computer that has a built-in mic, so it's like not even my trading computer. It's kind of funny. So what I'm seeing right now is that we are pressing up above the 76.86, 78.6 weekly fib, which is price level $439.47, 439.47 on SPY. All right, and that's like the weekly fib that we've been watching for a long time. So if you want to fib out that candle to refer to those levels, it's from March 14th, 2022. And so that's March 14th, 2022. And let me just see if that's fib to the upside or fib to the downside. Oh, and by the way, if any of this is confusing or if I'm sort of rambling when I talk, just let me know. So let me get rid of this drawing set right here. So 2022, 314. Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, 314, 2022 on the weekly chart, like the 3-year weekly, it's a big green candle. So you can like fib it out to the bull side. You know what I mean? Make the 100% the top and the 0% the bottom of the green candle, and let those extensions form out. And then because today we just mounted the the 76.8 of that candle. I mean, of that fib. So, and what that means for the rest of the day, I'm sorry, 78.6 fib. I always forget like what the exact number is. But yeah, and that price level is 439.47. So it's mounted that, and it's kind of like pushed up a couple times, consolidating over it. So like, I'm not really like the guy who knows a lot about like where it might be going today. Like my daily predictions really aren't as good as Semper's or um Brandon's. But I would say just watch it closely, maybe make a note of that level and see if it holds above that level, 439.47. And if you don't have that weekly fib marked out yet, just go back to March 14th, 2022, big green candle, fib it out to the long side. And that's a good fib to have.
You've got a boatload of what do you call it? Divergence on RSI, both 5-minute and the 1-minute of this whole consolidation point at the top. But then you got the MAC is putting nicely down on the 5-minute, so it looks like down. But I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole either way. I hate Friday afternoons or whatever. I find them very hard to predict, and all weird crap starts to happen. Like, I don't know, people are buying and selling to cover into the weekend. So I can't even. It doesn't even tempt me to trade into this range, not with real money anyways. I mean, a demo count, whatever, but it's way too high to long. I think someone just said that, Toad, or someone just said it, yeah, way too high to long. I'd expect a pullback, but with this power, I wouldn't really expect a pullback either. So I can see it also just going sideways into the close.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great bit of insight. Like all this force up on a Friday, it's like a replicable, reliable setup at this height and on a force up and on a Friday, and with everything that Whiplash just said. He said it best. Yeah, it's a good stay away outlook.
Probably doesn't work, but I've said this before after these meetings. I mean, we do these meetings to get all fired up, like, okay, good points. So you want to implement them now, but now it's Friday afternoon, and Friday afternoons are always terrible, in my opinion. And then you
Yeah.
got the weekend to get back in, more pressure to start looking for something. But if you're looking for something now, I mean, I don't think there's anything to look for. It's just all garbage.
Yeah, and I know exactly what
Fuck,
you mean.
really.
Like it, 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 it would be such a boost to like be able to have a Monday meeting, you know, to
Yeah,
like
right.
get us stoked for the week.
Yeah, because I have to mean that you could go look at it after hours, then get stoked into Tuesday morning or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not saying we should move them. Fridays are fine, but I definitely fall into that where I'm like, God, I want to trade more.
Yeah,
You kind of get in the zone sometimes after these meetings, but it's just that
totes.
Friday afternoon. It's just it's always does this weird stuff, and it might like do this in the last like 10 minutes, either go shooting up
Hmm.
or shooting down. It could go either way. Like you just
I
don't know.
know.
Like you can't really play it.
Yeah, for sure. And like I'm not much of like I mean, you can't even call it power hour on Friday, I guess. Maybe you can, but like I'm not much of a 2:30 to 4 p.m. player, like anyways. Like Semper is so good at being like, a power hour player. It's
Yeah.
really awesome. All right, Toad, what's Toad saying? Yeah, I thought so too. Very glad to get that intuition confirmed on staying away from anything. Hell yeah, Toad. That's right. It's great with the like-minded people thinking along the same lines. Made some
Yeah,
progress.
especially if you made money early today, go into the weekend with your green and consider it job well done. This
Yeah,
is when you F that all up. You take a trade now and you're gonna be freaking pissed. Or you could,
totally.
if it goes red, then it just ruins your weekend. It's just not worth it. It just isn't worth it.
All right, Kelsey. Yes, I made 200 reels. So leave them on. Cool. Very good, Kelsey. Awesome. And so glad to hear you made some profits earlier in the day. Awesome. Awesome. Um, Kelsey, up 1,000 for the month. My guy, way to go. Happy about that. Unreal. Hey man, that's what it's like when you get around the right people. The learning and the camaraderie and just like, get on the same wavelength with folks and just, get the positive stuff just moving and grooving. all green days the whole month. Wow, Kelsey, hell yeah. All right, I'm gonna be able to say that soon too. I am. I am. Congratulations, man. That's so excellent. Yeah, Toad's saying it's funny how mainstream media tells you to stay away from chat rooms, but really finding the right one is the move. Oh, it definitely is. I shudder to think what my trading might have been like if I hadn't discovered this room. Like I don't even want to think about that. Like this is the room to be in. The elites with Brandon and Connor and Semper and coming to these meetings. It is just real good. Like it's a collaborative mindset and not a competitive one. And it's my only other experience in like another trading room was like it was very competitive and boastful. But this one is it's all about insight and it's supportive. I feel very fortunate to have discovered this room. Been Kelsey, been following Connor since 2019. Hell yes. So you're on a good run, my friend. You've been in the right place. You've been in the right place. Yeah, I've been in BRT since standard dev is your experience. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I got on board in late 2018, I think it was. Yeah. And super cool. Great place to be. And then the elite started in 2019. Like in 2018, Brandon still didn't have his own like chat room on BRT. He would come in like sometimes on Connor's room and help with pre-market and stuff, you know. But it was in like I think spring 2019 that Brandon started the elites room, you know, the elites chat and meetings, you know. This is easier. Kelsey's saying this is easier with no individual stocks. Oh man, totally true. I used to trade those stocks and jumping from stock to stock and be like, I don't like my stock. I'm gonna start trading different stock, man. That is just not where to be for me. And Kelsey, yeah, you got deployed in 2020. So did you take a break from trading then? Like and like come back after your deployment and begin trading? Oh, you're trading a little bit while in the Middle East. Wow, man. Wow. Dedicated, you know. Yeah, once you get that trading, once you start trading, man, it's like you if it's the thing you want to do, it's like it just you match up with it and like you don't even think about not trading, you know, it's like you always want to do it. And I'm not talking
Get a little Starlink going. You can sit there and trade in a foxhole.
about
I don't want to make light of combat by any stretch, but
that's some dedicated trading.
dedicated trading.
Mm, we had a pretty connection. That's cool. Pretty good connection. Hell yeah. All right, awesome. Good. That keep that trading going. Well, I'm glad that you're back to trading you know, every day or as much as you can, Kelsey. I think that's awesome, you know, because like I sometimes really enjoy not trading every day just because like sometimes I feel a little too eager to trade. 4 a.m. start in Hawaii. Holy moly. Yeah. Also dedication. Yeah, you know, man. Dedicated. Sure thing. Sure, man. I totally get that. Hey, I'm fortunate that I get the New York 9:30, you know, open. Yeah, I'll consider that a luxury.
California's got it the best, or West Coast. You wake up early, do your trading, then go to work.
Yeah,
You can't
for
do that
sure.
in the East Coast or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's
But
like,
4 o'clock in the morning is a little early over there in Hawaii. That's a little extreme. So,
yeah, it's wild. I mean, my work shifts are 3 to 11.
oh, so that works for you then. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. But
But if you got a regular 9 to 5 type job, uh,
right.
trading stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, regular nine. Yeah, I've for the 9 to 5 jobs that I've had, trading would not be possible because they've like always demanded my like full attention.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, my current schedule really enables my trading. Oh my goodness. Sweet Kelsey. I love hearing about those gains. That's awesome. So good. Hmm. Right.
Hey, Lasagna, are you tempted at all to do any of the forget what they're called. Oh Jesus, what are they called? All like the prop firms that people have been using and Brandon's now using to go down that route at all.
No, not right now, because I don't want to go through the like what it takes to set it up. Yeah, I've definitely got enough variables to keep in mind with my current trading situation. You know what I mean?
Right,
Uh,
right.
oh, Kelsey's asking, what are they, the prop firms? I forget what they're called. There's like a couple ones that people are using.
Yes, Semper just started using it. It was one, you get a I don't even know. I don't even know the details, to be honest with you, because I don't do them.
Yeah,
But you pay a monthly fee, you get some accounts going, and you have to make a certain amount, and then it gets funded basically, and then you trade. You're basically trading with other people's money.
yeah,
Brandon's been using them lately, but he wasn't the first on the bandwagon. Some of the members were using them before he kind of got into them.
yeah.
Uh, so just a way to kind of more leverage, really, and you're kind of risking other people's money over yours. But there's downsides to them too. I don't do them. Maybe once I get my trading nailed down, then it's a
Pass.
little different than just using other people's money, though. I don't. If I'm not the one to the detailed, I don't know, but I'm not the one to ask. But
Yeah, Kelsey, like definitely remember to ask in the chat, like in the in the main meeting on Monday, and they can give you the details.
Semper knows a lot about him too. So next time, if in this thing next week or whatever, Semper's around, he'll be able to fill you in because he now is beginning to use them.
Yeah,
So he knows quite a little bit about them as well. It's not so much using other people's money. You are, but you pay again. I don't know. You're gonna pay a fee like $50 to open the account. So when you lose the money, they just close your account. So you lose that $50, but you don't lose the money that I I don't know. There's pros and cons to it, but it's not like you're straight up just using other people's money. So you're not going to get blown out of the water. It's not like you're like, holy shit, I'm down like 10 grand. I'm effed. It's not like margin on when you get a margin call or something like that, where you're like, holy crap.
right.
Um, it's different, but again, I don't know details. But so many people seem to be moving over to that, and like I said, Brandon's talking about it more and more, or was. Um, I was just curious if you were thinking about going down that route.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna stay out of it. I'm kind of in my groove with what I'm doing. I'll
Yeah.
consider that later on because like I know that some of these guys are really enjoying it. Um, well, you guys, I need to get back to my unusual household responsibilities. But I'm gonna end the recording right here. I'll just end that. It's been a great meeting. I'll end the recording.